Greetings and welcome to You Are the Miracle. This is the podcast that's all about helping you to understand more about all the different ways that you can be the miracle that the world is looking for. I am Cheyenne Kramer. This is my better half,
Donald Kramer. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day like we are.
Absolutely. And we're so excited to have a special guest with us tonight. Miss Kavita Sahai is a CEO of a company that is all about social impact. And you guys have heard us talk about making a social impact. But boy, she said something the other day that I just said, okay, that's what we want to talk about tonight, because she was talking about how women have the ability to change the world. And I said, that's the title. That's what we're going to go with. So just to give you a little bit more information about Kavita, she's the CEO and founder of Kavita Sahai, a company that provides luxury wellness and beauty solutions that are natural, sustainable, and embedded with impact. Her own experience with burnout led to a spiritual and wellness journey that continues today. She's certified in aromatherapy, Ayurveda, yoga, and nutrition. She uses her knowledge and skills to create products that are based on scientific evidence and ancient wisdom. And she shares those insights and expertise with others through publications, podcasts, and keynote speeches. Along with wellness, she's also passionate about helping female and/or social entrepreneurs to succeed. She's got 15 years of experience in entrepreneurship, investment, and consulting, with a proven track record of growing businesses, raising funds, and building partnerships across various industries and markets. Welcome, Miss Kavita.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the very generous intro.
You're so welcome.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. I did want to make sure I mentioned to our viewers tonight, though, that the title could be a little misleading. We're not here to slight the guys in any way, shape, or form. Some people know about this guy's little adventure where he was working on changing the world. What was that again?
That was back many years ago.
It was, but it was a big deal.
I actually was crazy enough to throw my hat in the ring to run for governor of North Carolina.
Whew, and what an experience that was.
I learned a lot.
A lot about what we don't want.
That's
right?
true.
It is true. So we know the guys out here have the ability to do some great things. Yes. But I think you made an incredible remark about all of that, about women having that ability. But we would love it if you would just kind of give our viewers a little bit of a background on you. I mean, what in the world got you involved in being interested in being an impact business?
So I think at some point we all realize we want to do something bigger than ourselves, right? So in the beginning, it's about making money and following certain paths or steps that you think you're supposed to do or take. But at any given moment, at some point, the real passion, the real why, it's usually a much bigger impact than yourself. And that's where the real motivation and passion really comes into play. So for me, I always sort of help that draw. I think that's a lot of what attracted me to Berkeley, which is where I got my master's, because I just felt that we all have this ability to make positive impact while also doing everything else we might need to be. So there just seemed to be this better way to integrate business and social responsibility. So that's what first got me interested in it. And as far as the women, can make the most impact or can change the world, I really spread that message because I think so often women feel like they're coming across this glass ceiling, right? Or if you look at any boardroom or any government, they kind of look like Donald, no offense, but it's sort of people that look like him and not necessarily you and me. But the truth is that through our purchasing power, so women control something like 80% plus of purchasing decisions. We could influence policy. We could influence foreign policy. We could influence corporate policy. There's so many things that we could actually do just by how we spend, how we purchase. If we could do that with a little bit more mindfulness or consciousness.
And that's huge. We've called that in the past voting with your dollars. And
Exactly.
I think sometimes that it's so easy to get into habits of where we buy and what we buy and how we buy. We know the pandemic put everybody into the online world pretty quickly. And there were some very big companies that benefited in some big ways. But what would you encourage people to do in terms of what should they look for in terms of putting their money where it might really matter?
So a lot of that obviously depends on what really matters to you, right? Is it sustainability? Is it supporting women? Is it supporting minorities? Is it supporting certain types of wages that are paid to people? So I would just get really clear on what's my first real value that I really want to support. Or maybe it's just I'm only going to support businesses that support the world, right? That are tied to impact in a meaningful way. I always feel
Mhm.
like that's one way to at least start. So they're at least taking some responsibility, and then of course have the general corporate practices you would want. But it can also be overwhelming. We are a consumerism society. We are constantly purchasing. Amazon has made it so that you think it, you buy it, you get it within an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk
So
about a
you don't even have a
microwave
minute to think,
society.
do I actually need it or could I find it in my house, right? No, I'm
Excuse me.
Exactly.
want to
Oh
see
my
it, buy it
goodness.
done, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I think the way to make it less overwhelming is, can you pick one item, one thing every month even, and just say, okay, this one thing I could buy locally. So that's a big thing for me. I always try to buy things that are local or from a small business, because the truth is small business is what runs our economy. Small
Yes.
businesses employ way more people than large corporations do.
Yes. We've been
So
saying that for years.
we really, really want to support small business. And so maybe that's just the thing. Around the holidays, you see a lot of this, support small business, but really all year round, what purchase could you make that you make currently from a large corporation or a no-name corporation on Amazon that you could do to a local small business or any small business?
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
that's a great way to start. And I think if we do more of that, that's how we're really going to fuel and create policy that really affects impact and makes change.
Unfortunately, money does still talk. It is a big piece of the puzzle for sure. Now, I know that you're in the wellness business, but I don't think you always were. What led you to decide to move in that direction in your life?
Yeah, so I was not, you're right. I was in finance. I was quite the opposite, actually. I started in mergers and acquisitions for defense and aerospace. Then I went on to do technology growth investing and then ended up in turnaround consumer products. But it was just burnout. I think, like so many people, I never understood the importance of self care. It
Mm,
sort of seemed like a woo woo word. Like, what do you mean self care? It was always just get through it, right? The hustle culture.
yes.
And I also was never taught this mind, body, soul connection. It was like work out and eat well to lose weight and look good. Meditation, yeah, that's a thing, right? And then spirituality. I don't know. Is that meditation? Can I combine it with one? Like what is this? And everything everything felt very overwhelming. And honestly, I had no time for it. I was working 100+ hours a week. I worked weekends. I had my pajamas and toothbrush at work. It was probably the most unhealthy lifestyle and completely unsustainable. But
Wow.
once I hit the wall, almost quite literally,
Mhm.
I was introduced to the power of oils. And so at the time, because I basically lived on a diet of coffee and fast food, I
Mm,
had incredibly leaky gut. So no vitamins, no food, even if I did eat something that was healthy, was really getting absorbed. I was just this leaky bucket. However, the when you get pure potent essential oils, they go straight into your bloodstream. So they bypass your gut. And that way I was actually able to first start the healing process and start to feel better.
mm.
And that's when I really had to take a look and be like, what is this magic witch oil stuff? Why have
Mhm.
I never been told, right? And do other people know, right? So as soon as you
Right.
find something that helps, you're like, I want to shout it from the mountaintops. I want other people to. In my case, the best way to do that was to help it grow as a business, to bring
Mhm.
it into households. And that's where I really learned a lot about oils, because I had used essential oils. I'd sort of heard of the major MLMs, but I'd never learned how to properly use it. So I had been using them incorrectly. I hadn't been diluting it. I never looked again. And this goes to, not that all small businesses are just because they're small, they're good, but generally
Mhm.
small business owners care about the quality of what they're putting it in because they're giving it to their neighbors, right? They're giving it
Mm.
to the people in their city versus somebody on Amazon doesn't care at all, potentially, unless they're a small business on Amazon, right? But
Right.
if they're shipping from somewhere else, you don't know them, they're like a founderless brand, you don't really know the quality. So lavender, for example, has over 200 components that make it lavender. To sell it as lavender, it just needs 2, but those don't have all the therapeutic qualities of actual
Mhm.
lavender. So we, test everything. And so I just learned about that whole process and how they can be effective and that they need to be diluted. And so as a busy working woman, I thought, well, what would be easy if it was just all done for me, right?
Mhm.
Like mix it for me, blend it for me, make it safe, put it in easy to go. And so that kind of became the ethos of the brand.
Mhm.
And with that, I also started this wellness journey of getting into yoga, Ayurveda, aromatherapy, nutrition, and just really thinking about it as a mind body approach.
Mhm.
Because you can put a little bit of attention, I think, in each of those buckets and just experiment with what works for you. It's kind of like a wheel. It starts turning, right? You do a little bit on the mind and the body and the soul, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel so much better. I'm so energetic, right?
Absolutely. I love all that. Well, and I was really impressed when I visited your website to see that you actually have something called a soul quiz.
Yeah.
Why that on a wellness website?
Well, so to me, I really wanted to bring this mind, body, soul connection together in a way that was easy and fun. Again, we don't need another to do. We don't need something that's another thing on our list. Like, did I work out today? Did I meditate? No, it's meant to be fun. And so Soul Quiz is really to help you understand your energy type. So it's
Mm.
based off human design, which
Mhm.
is a combination of a lot of different systems, but it tells you, like, for example, somebody might enjoy running whereas somebody might enjoy meditating, and that might be the right self-care. So based on your energy type, it kind of helps you understand your programming because we've been so programmed by everything else, especially now with social media, to
Mm.
really think, okay, yeah, this is what I need. Or if it worked for her, it's got to work for me. And this really helps you go inside and say, you know what, these are your centers that you really take a lot from other people. And these are
Mhm.
maybe your centers that you know yourself, so you're good. So it's really an exercise in understanding what's your energy type. Are you somebody who maybe needs to sleep alone, or are you somebody that really needs to take breaks, or maybe you're somebody that needs to just go 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 until you pass out at night, right? And so that's what the Soul Quiz does. It helps you understand your energy type, and then if you want to dive deeper, it tells you more about like the environments and how to set up your room or how to even position yourself in a room energetically.
Mm.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, but everything is very quick. It's like 5 minutes a day. You combine that with oil. So it's really about getting into your inner nature, true nature, and connecting with nature. And so how can we do that in ways that are fun and easy? Everything designed for the busy working mom. I also have 3 kids. So the busy working mom
Wow.
of 3 kids, how do you fit in a mind, body, soul ritual? And so that's how everything was sort of designed.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, given that you came from that stressful 100-hour a week kind of environment, you know what people need, and that's powerful. So tell everybody a little bit about the impact part of your website. I had not seen anything quite that elaborate in terms of actually getting engaged in helping to create change in the world. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So from the beginning, I knew that it had to be, of course, it was about people's health. It was about making self care fun and sustainable for people so they would want to do it every day and want to explore and dive.
Mhm.
But part of it's also knowing that we in the US are so incredibly privileged and we have so much, and there is so much need in the world. And having traveled to so many different countries and lived in so many different countries, I can really appreciate that we are so incredibly blessed. And so I thought, if every time we did something here, what if something amazing happened somewhere else? And so there's an organization called B1G1, and that's exactly what their mission and drive was. And they source projects all around the world. So they audit them and make sure that they're, legitimately being run. And they tie it to transactions. So once you put it onto your website, you can say, okay, every time someone makes a purchase, I want them to then be able to choose an impact project abroad. So anytime something good happens to me because someone made a sale, someone purchased from my company, I
Mhm.
want something good to happen abroad. And also, after you purchase, you'll get a link that'll allow you to choose the project as well. That we have selected a couple for the month that the customer can help support. But it was really important to me that every time I received a blessing, that somebody else should receive it as well.
Wow. Wow. That's nice. And
Very
it's
good.
quite
Very good.
quite an array of different kinds of projects that are listed there. So should be something that would be of interest to almost anybody, I would think.
Yeah, they're aligned to the United Nations 17 sustainability goals. So it's sort of on a global basis. This is what, everyone should have food, everyone should have access to water, education. We need to think about our planet, right? So I just felt like here's a bunch of people who are much smarter than I am thinking about what this world needs. And here's
Mhm.
an amazing organization that's committed to finding projects that would help those needs. So it really was an easy way to give back in a way that really
Wow.
felt good.
Wow. So that's amazing. So, you're such an awesome example of exactly what we keep trying to help people understand that we need more people on the planet doing. I mean, you took your own health challenges and decided to, find your own solutions, create a company around those solutions, get trained in a lot of things that helped you so that you could pay it forward and help and educate other people. That's the first big piece, but then the second big piece is to be able to utilize the whole concept of social entrepreneurship. That is a big piece of what his platform was all about. Was, there's nothing wrong with for-profit businesses getting involved and being able to make a social impact. I mean, isn't that what Tom's Shoes is all about?
It is.
I remember way back when I first started learning about some of those things. I grew up in Vermont, and at the time when we were still living there, Ben and Jerry's had something they called partner shops, and that was one of the first things that I saw that really impressed me. Was they were setting up nonprofits to have their own Ben and Jerry's franchise. So that's another way that they could use the for-profit business to, in their franchise, they had clients of the nonprofits going to work, and then the profits from the franchise were going back into funding the nonprofit. So, I do believe that there's an awful lot of need in this country still, too, that can be addressed by things like that. So,
Absolutely.
love all the things that you're doing, all the things that you're about. You have any thoughts for my dear?
Well, I tried doing that when I was one of the things I suggested when I was running for governor is a business that would have apprenticeship, and
Yes.
every small business like that would have one. They should have a tax break to
Yep.
help pay for that apprenticeship,
Yep.
and that's one thing because I knew I can't remember what the unemployment rate was at the time or how many unemployment. But if you had just state of North Carolina, if you took 500,000 small businesses that actually had one person to come work for them,
Yep.
learn business, firsthand, what the unemployment rate would have been zero.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot
Yeah.
more people would get ahead. That was one of the plans I wanted to do if I became governor. I don't think the other candidates like that idea.
I think it was Ken Robinson, right, who did the TED Talk around education and sort of the issue with how we try to put everyone in a box. And so I always love the idea of vocational programs and apprenticeship because it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we really need to help people be placed in the right roles. And by the way, a lot of these programs, especially now that AI, I think, is going to just take over most jobs, they're where the money is, right?
Yes.
So, but we don't tell kids that. We don't make it okay. It's almost like, oh, you're dropping out of school. And it's like, no, you're not dropping. You've chosen a different path. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Go learn it. So I love it. And I'm sorry that it didn't come to be, but I do think that there's so much value in apprenticeship, and I think there's so much value in internships.
Yes. And I have a good question for you. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always welcome people to connect with me on LinkedIn, but our website is Sahai, Ksahai kavitasahi.com, and there's the email on there as well. You can take the soul quiz, or we have a wellness quiz, a skin quiz, whatever you might want to explore. So I would definitely invite all of you to take that and see if 5 minutes of self-care can really change your perspective.
Awesome.
Sounds great, really.
For sure. I did want to just ask one question though, because we talk a lot about apprenticeships. I mean, I actually grew up in manufacturing. I was a manufacturing apprentice straight out of high school because I wasn't ready for college yet. But we're definitely believers that the apprenticeship model should fit as well in terms of being able to spawn new entrepreneurs. Is that part of your business as well? Do you get involved in mentoring people who are interested in entrepreneurship?
So I do mentor. I mentor through the university system. So it's usually students, just because there's 2 major colleges where I live. But I'm always open if people reach out. I'm especially passionate about helping women, but I'm always happy to help anybody. I just feel like the resources are less. And I even try to invest in women-owned businesses on a somewhat regular basis.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Well, it has been a joy to have you with us, Kavita, and we're so grateful that you're doing all of these wonderful things. And, I'll just repeat it again. Women need to understand that they have the power to impact the world. If it's as many as 80% of buying decisions are being made by women in a household, oh my goodness, please research businesses like Kavita's. Go find the businesses who are making a difference, making an impact. Put your money there. I'm sorry, but I don't think Amazon needs any more of your money.
No.
Let's build the small business community. Let's build those small businesses across the country that do have a heart, do want to make an impact, and really are going after positive change on the planet. That's how we change the world. And every single person watching this video has the potential to do exactly that. So thank you so much for your time today. We've had a blast having you with us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was such a pleasure.
Fantastic.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot.
Have a great one and great holiday season to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.